The Gemara tells us in Megillah that whenever the Torah uses the term Vayehi, it's an expression of pain, suffering, or problem. Like it says Vayehi b'mei Achashverosh, where he taxed the life out of the people. Vayehi b'mei Achashverosh, Vayehi b'mei Shoftim, when the judges, they judged the people. At that time, things were very bad. It says Vayehi b'shal Pharaoh Sodom. Vayehi indicates something very extremely negative when Pharaoh sent out the people. I mean, this is the ultimate moment. This is the redemption. That's number one. Secondly, it should have said, Vayehi b'shal Hashem Esod. Who sent us out of Egypt? Due to the 10th plague, we left Egypt. What does the Torah attribute the leaving of Egypt to Pharaoh? And also, continuously, we're referred to as the people. And yet, when it comes to the number of how many Jews left Egypt, it says, Yisrael. A fifth of the Jews left Egypt. We're referred to as Yisrael. There's a mention continuously and all of a sudden it becomes Yisrael. What exactly is going on? These are the points he makes. Makes a few more points along the way. He says, phenomenally, he says, Tzorch ledas loma loshem tsar v'mogilo v'rano. Wants to use an expression of tsar, pain, rather than it's a moment of ecstasy, of joy. Oloma kino inyin peparo v'lo ba'odun hamasim. Ki hu hamotzi osam me'eretz Yisrael, who took us out of Egypt? Hashem. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher tzisich me'eretz Mitzrayim, first of the 10 commandments. And yet, it says Pharaoh sent us out of Egypt. The Torah over here is sharing with us all the pain and the what followed. And what was the cause? Why did Pharaoh pursue us? Why did Pharaoh pursue us? Why did we leave Egypt? If Hashem would have taken us out of Egypt, meaning if Pharaoh would have been totally taken out of the picture, and it would have been clear Hashem took us out. It says Pharaoh chased us out and says, and the understanding was we're going for 3 days. We weren't leaving redeemed forever. So Pharaoh believed we're coming back. So what was the cause of the pursuit? What was the cause of all this? Because Pharaoh believed that the only reason why we left Egypt is because he released us. As a result of him releasing us, that's why he pursued us. We'll see in a moment. So it's Vayehi b'shal Pharaoh Esod. The way Hashem orchestrated was Pharaoh sent out the people. We'll see in a moment. As a result of that, when he realized we weren't coming back, he's coming after us. It was under duress. And why were they ultimately, why did they perish in the sea? Because he believed that they're coming back, and because they deceived him, he's going to take them back. So what was the cause of him going into the sea? To try to retake the Jews. So ultimately, why was he destroyed? Because he believed he sent us out. We'll see in a moment. And he quotes the Gemara and Megillah. It says when the Yamsuf, when the Red Sea closed on the Egyptians, the Malachim wanted to say Shira. And Hashem said to the Malachim, Masa Yodai Tovim Bayom Atem Shira. My handiwork are perishing in the sea, and you're saying Shira. Hashem is pained when any human being is destroyed. So therefore, since ultimately this will lead to the destruction of the Egyptian people, it's painful to Hashem. He would have understood Hashem took us out. Had nothing to do with him. Even though he wouldn't want to send us out, there wouldn't be a basis to pursue us. Shadava told him he believed that what he was self-deluded here. Therefore, he felt he could take us back. Wherever we find Yirmos Alei Rav, it's referring to the rabble. It's not referring to the Jewish people. It's referring to the rabble. Why did he send the rabble with us? Because he wanted they should be with us, that in case, we'll see in a moment, we're not coming back, first of all, they can inform Pharaoh that we've crossed that line of no return. Secondly, he threatened them. He said to them, we'll see in a moment, if they don't come back, you people are going to have to assume the position of slaves, and you're going to have to meet the quotas. So he believed that would be enough reason why the Erev Rav, he sent hundreds of thousands of these Egyptians with us to guarantee our return, because they have a lot at stake. Their freedom is at stake, because if we don't come back, if they come back, they're going to have to assume the position of slaves. Therefore referred to as Fome Maskirom B'nei Yisrael. D'chsiv Achmushim Olum B'nei Yisrael. Harei Mara Etzba. So we see clearly, definitely Ki Lo B'nei Yisrael. When it says it doesn't mean the Jewish people. It means the Erev Rav, the rabble. V'omru Zal Ki Ashchosis Yisrael B'Midbar. Whenever we became corrupted in the desert, including the Chet Egel, Zeu Siboso. Who's the one who instigated, who initiated the Egel? That was the Erev Rav. Hey Momru did no rosh, hey Momru Aseidonu, Zeoma Vayehi, Tsar Godel, Sonem Shal Yisrael, Beshalach Parosom, sending the Erev Rav with us caused us tremendous pain, tremendous problems. Pirush, Erev Rav, Shesholchem Paro Loya, Lo Hashem Baruch Hu Tziyam. Hashem did not, since Vayibshal Parosom, Hashem did not send out the Erev Rav. Who initiated the rabble to leave Egypt? We're not talking about the Jewish people. The only ones Hashem was interested out of Egypt were only the Jewish people, which is his portion. And ultimately they brought about the greatest level of pain to the Jewish people. What does that mean? Pirush Korafu Lirmos Ha'om Mikorov Bo. What does it mean, Korov Bo? Korov doesn't mean he was close to Egypt. Korov means the problem is about to happen. Because he sent them out, all the problems are going to evolve and happen. Ve'lo Chozek B'Kedusha. O Korov La Rashia. V'Yisovi V'Ro Gam Yisrael. Ve'Duk Al Nochom. Okay. Odir Tzal Derech Omram. Paro also Yisrael Levoya. Paro wanted to escort us out of Egypt. And if he would have escorted us, as we find by Nebuchadnezzar, because he took 3 steps to retrieve the letter that originally he was the scribe for Belshazzar, his kingdom extended many years. So if Paro would be able to escort us, in the merit of that, maybe he'd be able to retake us. Hashem didn't want him to escort us. So he took us a circuitous route into the desert to discourage Pharaoh from escorting us. Okay? 1 second. So this is basically the concept. So when we speak about is a rabble, it's very interesting. We find that when we did Chet Egel, Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was up taking the first set of tablets, Hashem says, Lech reid, ki shiches amcha. You must go down immediately because your people became corrupted. So Moshe says to Hashem, why is it my people? It's your people. He says, no. I'm referring to the rabble. when you took the rabble out of Egypt, did you consult with me? I was only interested in the Jews out of Egypt. It was due to your allowing them to come along. That's why they came, because you could have vetoed it. You could have prevented it from happening. So what was the cause of the Chet Egel? Who initiated it? It was the rabble. Therefore, your people became corrupted. So it's Moshe could have prevented the rabble from leaving Egypt. He could have prevented it. So Pharaoh sent them out. That's the rabble. Moshe Rabbeinu allowed them to come. So it comes out interesting. If Moshe Rabbeinu would have denied them the right to come, there wouldn't have been a Chet Egel. There was only a Chet Egel because of the rabble. As it says, Elul Hechi Show, they're the ones who initiated it. So why did Hashem give Moshe the clarity? And we said the whole calculation was that the only reason why we went to Egypt according to one opinion in the Dorim is because when Avram Avinu had defeated the 4 kings, and the king of Sodom said, give me the people, you take the material. And Avram Avinu did not take the people, and ultimately that led to the destruction of all those people, Sodom. So therefore, because he did not take them, to convert them to monotheism, therefore we had to go to Egypt. That's one opinion of the Gemara. So Moshe Rabbeinu, his calculation was, if the only reason why we went to Egypt, because we had the opportunity to convert the pagans to monotheists, so here I have this opportunity, hundreds of thousands of Egyptians are coming along. I should deny them the right to come. If they come with us, they'll become believers. So we said, but Moshe Rabbeinu's mistake was, when Avram Avinu, he didn't convert them, there wasn't a Jewish people. So whoever he converts, it's all profit. Now, if you allow these people to come, you're bringing a fifth column into the Jewish people. You don't know what level of influence they're going to have. That's the difference between initially Avram Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu. That was the mistake he made. But Hashem should have informed them immediately. He should have given the clarity to understand the difference in Avram Avinu and himself. And ultimately, there wouldn't have been a Chet Egel. The answer is the Jewish people themselves were not ready for real time. This generation ultimately had to perish during the 40-year period, because we see, even though Hashem forgave us on the Chet Egel and there was a second set of Luchos, ultimately, when they confronted with the story with the Meraglim, they failed. So that whole generation perished. The generation that was above the age of 20, although they were at Sinai. So we see clearly they were not ready for real time. They were not. So let's say they wouldn't have done Chet Egel, but in terms of what was the level at the time of Kabbalah Satorah, even though they had that level of clarity, but there wouldn't have been a permanence in terms of themselves, because we see they did the Chet Egel, they were forgiven, they had a second set of tablets, and again, the second year in the desert, they come up with this crazy idea, we want to send scouts to scout out the land before we go in. And ultimately, that brought about the destruction of that generation. So Hashem didn't give up Moshe the clarity to understand, and he let the rabble come to initiate it, and as a result of that, it's not attributed to us. And that's why ultimately we weren't destroyed, because we're not fully culpable, because we have this negative influence in our midst, and as a result of that, that's the reason why we were not destroyed. And ultimately, what showed our true colors, the Chet HaMeraglim showed our true colors exactly where we were at, that we weren't ready for real time. And only the new generation, the generation that was less than 20 years old, only they went into Canaan. Find that after Kriyas Yamsuf, we were attacked by a Amalek. And because they attacked us, therefore Hashem, they should be obliterated, and there shouldn't be a trace of their existence. Now the question, what was so terrible? So they attacked us. Well, the whole world recognized, and they didn't recognize. After Kriyas Yamsuf, as we read this week in the Oz Yoshir, the world trembled. The Amalek, this nomad band of people, It's the equivalent of you have a scalding bath and everyone's afraid to even approach it, and this fool jumps into the bath. The moment he jumps into the bath, he cools off the bath for everyone else. People are not afraid to approach it. As a result of that, but why are they so culpable? So I had mentioned then that, and this because the question is, the rabble were the cause of what? Of the Chet Egel. Right? They were the cause of the Chet Egel, the rabble. And the Egyptians are not held culpable. Amalek are culpable. And which is worse? Because of the Chet Egel, the Meluchos were broken. Because of the Chet Egel, we needed a Mishkan. And yet, they don't have that level of culpability as Amalek does. Why? Remember, I once asked the question: what was so terrible? So they attacked us. So if you remember, I mentioned the Ibn Ezra regarding the commandment of Lo Sachlot. You're not permitted to have designs on your fellow's property, his wife, his assets. Lo Sachlot. So Ibn Ezra asks, how is it possible to control? A person is envious and he has designs because he would like to have what the other person has. I mean, how do you hold a person accountable? It's something which is not controllable. So evidently, there is a way to see it that you would not have designs. How do you see it? Through what lens do you have to look at it that you should not have designs on your fellow's wife, his property, his donkey, whatever it may be? So he explains it with a mashal, with an allegory. He says, it's a known fact, you have a prince, and only women of royalty is the prince going to marry, and the princess has special qualities. Poised, educated, intelligent, well-mentored, refined. And the commoner is not jealous of the prince that he has that kind of wife to marry. But a commoner versus a commoner, if he sees a man having a certain type of wife quality, there's envy. So why the prince not, and why the commoner yes? The answer is, if a person understands that something has no relevance to him, because that woman is for royalty and you're not royalty, there's not even a consideration that you can be envious. There's no designs. But if two people are on a peer level and the other person has something, the question to you is immediately, if he has it, why can't I have it? As a result of that, you have designs on the other person's wife, on his property, on whatever he has, on his success. He's successful, why can't I be? As a result of that, there's lo sachlot. So how does one control lo sachlot? If a person understands that everything you have in life is given to you because you have a mission, you have an objective, and God provides that, as a result of that, there's no designs. It means that is specifically for him, and what you have is specifically for you. To deal with all your challenges, to meet your objective in life, Hashem provides everything. If you have that level of belief and understanding, there's no designs. As we say, when you have your wife completes your neshama. She complements your soul. So what complements one person's neshama is not another person's neshama. We're not talking about the physical person. We're talking about God's plan in existence, God's hand in existence. As a result of that, if you don't understand that, there's envy. But if you see it through a proper lens, a proper hashkafa, proper perspective, there's no envy, there's nothing, because what you have is meant for you, and I have is meant for me. And he even takes it to the point that a bird could fly. Is anybody envious that a bird could fly and you can't fly? A bird is a bird, you're a human being. Human beings are not meant to fly. I'm just quoting the Ibn Ezra. So this is what I said. When we read in the Oz Yoshir, when the Egyptians went down the sea, and Hashem had done for us, he never did for any nation in the history of this world. Why? Because we were B'ni B'chori Yisrael. We were like the firstborn of God. We were at a level, nobody's at that level. We're royalty in the world. We're royalty in creation. Therefore, what God does for us, he doesn't do for anybody else. It comes to Kabbalah Torah. If we wouldn't have been attacked at Sinai, at the Yam Suf, after the Kriyas Yam Suf, if it split, you can see. And now God publicly gives his Torah to us, which is the ultimate. It was done in public view of the world. The world was aware of this. Would the world been envious of us? No. God is giving us something because we're royalty. We're at a different level than the rest of the world. But after Amalek attacked us, what did they do? They put us on a peer level. And the Midrash tells us, why did we do the Egel? We only did the Egel because the nations of the world gave us an Ayin Hora. We had an Ayin Hora. Because the nations of the world said, God, why are you giving them your Torah? Why don't you give it to us? But why is there even a basis for such a question? This is the prince to the princess, and you're a commoner. Once we were attacked by Amalek, we were no longer a commoner. We were no longer the prince. We were commoners. They brought us to a peer level. There's nothing to be afraid of them. They're no better than we are. Therefore, they could be attacked. Once we reached a peer level in the eyes of the world, now all of a sudden, this question starts percolating in their minds. Why the Jews, not us? There's envy, therefore there was an Ayin Hora. There was an Ayin Hora, that's when we did the Chet Egel. So why did the world not reach its level of perfection at that moment? Because the Gemara says, not the Chet Egel, we reverted back to pre-sin of Adam. The world would have reached its level of completion, and there wouldn't have been sin anymore. It's due to Amalek attacking us, bringing us to peer level. Therefore, there was the envy. There was Ayin Hora because there was Ayin Hora. Therefore, there's the Chet Egel. Therefore, we reverted back to post-sin of Adam, and therefore we're still dealing with these issues until the coming of Mashiach, for that reason. Moshe took the remains, the bones of Yosef with him. Why? Because Yosef had adjured the Bnei Yisrael, Lamor, Pokod, Yifkod, Elokim Eschem, God will remember you, and you'll bring out my remains with you. Mizeh itchem. Let's look at Rashi. Hashbei Ishbiyah, Ishbiyim she'ashbi lebneihem. Lama lo ishbi lebonov she'isul eretz Canaan miyad. Why did Yosef should have, as Yaakov adjured Yosef should have adjured Ephraim Menashe to take him out immediately. Moshe Ishbiyah Yaakov, Oma Yosef, Ani Shalit, Vayisi Mitzrayim. I am a ruler. Vayasibik biyodi lasos. It's within my power to do it. Avobodai lo yinich Mitzrayim lasos. The Egyptians will not allow it. Lochen Ishbiyah. Therefore, he adjured his brothers. Shigolo, when they're going to redeem the Yetzias Misham Shisu, and they would leave Egypt, they should take his remains with him. This is important. And you should take my remains out together with yours. Le'echov Ishbiyah came. Domadu she'af atzmos kol hashvotim helu imoyen shema itchem. We see that all the tribes took out the remains of their antecedents when they left Egypt. So that's why he says itchem. Okay? So the question is, right? We once asked this question. Just as every tribe had their antecedents, took out their antecedents, Reuven took out Reuven, Shimon took out Shimon, and every tribe took out its founding father. So Yosef had two sons, Ephraim and Menashe. Why did he have to adjure the Jewish people that they should be responsible to take out his remains? Right? This question we asked in the past. You have the question. Right? He adjured his brothers, they take him out. When they're taken out, he should be taken out together with them. Why? What does he need them to take him out? He has children. He has two children, Ephraim and Menashe. His tribe was divided to two tribes. The others only have one tribe. He has two tribes. could address this issue, take them out.
Mainly because the sons were elevated to a tribe as opposed to being descendants of the names of the tribes. And therefore, I don't know, would it be demeaning to his sons who had been elevated to be responsible for that?
It's the opposite. Their whole status is only because their forefather merited to be at that special level. And also there's a question. He should have said, What's the mizeh itchem? Right? The mizeh. When he adjured him before he passed away, he also used the word zed. If you remember, we discussed this. Zed, the gematria of zed is 12. When Yosef originally went to look for his brothers, when originally they attacked him, and he met Gavriel, he said to them, Nosu mizeh. They traveled mizeh. So over there he says, the Gemara Torah says, zeh is 12. Klal says 12 tribes. Your brothers, they want nothing to do with you. The zeh has been broken. Yosef, when he adjured his brother, he says that zeh has to be restored. Has to be restored. And you, the ones who broke it, by selling me into slavery, you have to reconnect us. So if his children would have taken him out, that's not an indication that you're actually correcting the wrong that you had done. But if you take me out and you're restoring the Zed, then we're restored. Then we become whole again. We become 12. Together.
The irony is that
I just want to mention one thing. The Pharaoh here says, but who took him out?
Moshe, right? The irony is only one tribe took him out.
Wait, no. So the Pharaoh says, why did Moshe take him out? He says because Moshe Rabbeinu was the Nasi, he was the king. The Nasi represents the Jewish people. He is the equivalent of the whole Jewish people. Just take a look in the Pharaoh. Yeah. He says, the obligation of the generation is incumbent on the Nasi, right? That's the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu took him out.
It doesn't also say that the splitting of the sea was in the merit of Yosef's boat?
That's separate. Yeah. Now, I asked the question, and seemingly, it's a very good question. We find that the daughters of Tzlofchad, they originally came with a claim, although Tzlofchad had no sons, he only had daughters. They claimed that they have a right to have a portion of the land.
Chiba.
So Rashi says, and they're referred to as they were from the tribe of Menashe, but they were from Menashe ben Yosef. Why is Yosef mentioned? Because Yosef is Chidei v'Soretz. Yosef had special love for Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because we find that he adjured his brothers that when they leave, they take him with them. So you see, he had special love for the land. So the descendants they also have special love, and that's what precipitated their wanting to have a portion of the land. So I asked the question, right? What does Rashi say? Itchem, when you leave, take me with you. Where do we see? He said, where do we see Yosef had special love? Because he wanted to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. And all the brothers wanted to be buried in Yisrael. Because you see that every tribe instructed their descendants when they leave, they take their remains with them. So where do we see that Yosef's love was greater than anybody else's love? That's the question I asked. I didn't have an answer at all. Right now I thought of an answer. But I'll put it out to you. What do you think? Yosef initiated the whole concept to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. Otherwise, they would have allowed their remains to remain in Egypt. But because Yosef says he doesn't want to be buried there and will leave together, therefore we see that Yosef, his love for Eretz Yisrael was greater than theirs, and they only accepted it because he's the one who actually revealed this importance of not being buried in Egypt, to be buried in Eretz Yisrael.
It's